People are still signing on, so we'll wait just a little bit before starting. If your connection is weak, you may experience some connection problems. If they are severe, just disconnect and log in again. You can make the player bigger by using your control and the plus keys on your keyboard. To return to the starting size, use the control and the minus key. Hold the control key down and press the plus or minus to gauge your size. On Mac, it's Command instead of Control. Okay, let's get this party started. I'm Rory Shakeen. I'm your presenter today. I've known Greg since 2006 when he first introduced horse racing body language to me, and I incorporated it into my handicapping, and it's been highly successful. Particularly the component of having the bit and the tongue in the mouth, as you'll learn more today about in the session. I want to welcome you to the Body Language Training Academy. Today we're going to be talking about the missing link in the horse handicapping, which is reading and understanding a racehorse's body language. In the webinar, you'll meet the originator of the academy, Greg Lawler, and you'll meet the background of the creator, Chet Bruce. We're going to talk about the purpose and scope of the Body Language Training Academy. You will see what indicators the horse is telling you and if you understand his language. Once you learn body language, you will win more and lose less. But before we go, let's take care of some housekeeping. I know you're reminded of this every time you're in a webinar, but please turn off your cell phones and your house phone and any distractions from the session. Before you ask, yes, we are going to record and we'll have a replay up as soon as we can, about 10 minutes after we close down. You will get the link to the replay by email. We do our questions a little differently. You will notice there's a question box below the main screen. At the end of our presentation, we will have a time for you to write those questions. When you ask a question, we will answer your questions directly to you via email. Now that the housekeeping is all out of the way, let me introduce Greg Lawler.
Hello and welcome. I'm Greg Lawler, the originator of the Body Language Training Academy. Let me tell you a bit about my background. After graduating from Stanford, I went into the advertising business in Los Angeles. 10 years later, I went into real estate development in Solana Beach, near Del Mar and near the Del Mar racetrack. I've always been a fan of horse racing and have owned racehorses myself. When I was 16 years old, my father took me to the races for the first time. Those were fun and informative times. Horse racing has since become a hobby of mine. Back in the 1980s, I created the first ever 7-year database to examine trainer patterns, including strengths and weaknesses, and trainer-jockey combinations. These are the stats you now see in Daily Racing Form and other racing publications. Since that time, we sponsored 2 very successful handicapping conferences, seminars, in Las Vegas, where we brought together professional handicappers, authors, and experts from around the country to conduct symposiums and lectures on handicapping. One year, I met with Tom Ainsley in New York. He and Bonnie Ledbetter had published a book on the body language of the horse. We decided to adapt this to a video, which was a VCR in those days, on the body language of the racehorse. It was an instant success and thousands of copies were sold. Later on, we produced another video entitled Spotting the Ready to Win Racehorse, which also proved to be a big success. Because body language is so timeless, we decided to bring it out of the archives. Now the major focus of the Training Academy is the off-track and satellite viewers who make up 80% of the racing population today. In today's competitive racing environment, with all the analytical data and computer-related handicapping information, body language is the one way to give you a competitive edge at the racetrack. Body language is profitable in every type of race, but one of the most profitable ways to use body language is in maiden and maiden claiming races. In these kinds of races, handicappers look at breeding, workouts, and the success of trainers with first-time and second-time starters, as well as trial maidens. Most of these young, inexperienced horses are just beginning to learn how to adapt to their new environment. They will display the positive or negative body language signs that will tell you if they are ready to run. Learn to use this handicapping tool, and I can assure you, you'll win more races. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you all in the winner's circle.
Now I would like to introduce Chet Bruce.
Hi, I'm so pleased to see you here today. You should know a little bit about me. I've been involved in the internet for the last 20 plus years, and I've been self-employed all my life. I've known Greg for about 25 years, and he got me interested in horse racing way back when. Honestly, I was never a great handicapper like he is, but I was very interested in his body language handicapping ideas. And you know, we had talked about them in length down through the years. I got more interested when he gave me copies of his tapes, and I converted them to digital. I was watching the 2016 Preakness and decided to see if I could put this training to work. Later on, you'll see how I did that. And to make a long story short, after that race, I urged Greg to put his body language handicapping into a training course. He agreed, and the rest is what you see here today. So thanks again for being here. Sit back, enjoy, and learn something. So take it away, Rory.
I want you to know Greg and Chet are really excited you're here. You're going to learn a lot today. Right out of the box, you're going to hear something you never hear on webinars. Don't take notes. The reason we ask you not to take any notes is because you remember more than double the facts if you don't take notes. There will be a recording and a replay, and you can come back to the session later. Also, at the end of the presentation, we're going to offer the opportunity for you to enroll in the Training Academy at a very affordable special price because of your relationship with our host. For those that connect today, there will also be a very valuable bonus. So let's get started. Up front, I want to explain the purpose of the Body Language Training Academy. This is how to read and understand what a racehorse is telling you before the race. Once you understand what he is telling you, you use that information to confirm your choice in that race. And even more important, to be able to spot the horse that can beat the favorite. The favorite, of course, is the horse with the most money bet at him at race time. The results of your knowledge will be that you'll be making fewer losing wagers, and the number of these wins will increase. The average size of your wins will also increase. Think about this. Favorites, again, the horse with the most money bet at him at the post time, win 35% of the time and usually pay in the neighborhood of $5.20 or less. It is important to understand that wagering on favorites only will result in a 17-cent loss on every dollar wagered. Betting favorites is a losing proposition. But our testing shows that by adding body language as part of your handicapping process, you can increase your win results. After training for racehorse body language was added to handicapper skill, not only did the win rate go up, but the payout also increased as well. You will hear from Ari later in the webinar when he talks about how body language affected his play. If you place exotic wagers, this third number is very important to you. Horses picked with the racehorse body language finished in the money 73% of the time. That is phenomenal. We call racehorse body language the missing link in racehorse handicapping because it is a tool every handicapper should use, but only about 5% even begin to understand. By the time you leave today, you are going to understand what it is and have a good idea as how to use it. We have a jam-packed session for you today. Some of the things we will cover may seem basic, but it's important that everyone is on the same page. First, we're going to look at the role of handicapping, wagering odds, and the importance in decision making. What is a favorite, and what role does the favorite play? Just what is racehorse body language? How to use your knowledge about racehorse body language. We're going to show you what is in the body language training course. What to look for in a horse before the race. Which horses win and which horses lose and why. We will look at today's wagering challenges and solution to those challenges. You will see compelling reasons you should take the course and learn racehorse body language. and what the knowledge of racehorse body language can do for you. Now, starting with handicapping, let's look at historical data. Starting with breeding, workout, speed, pace, and trips, even the jockey trainer performance. Then take into consideration the morning line and the final odds. One of the most profitable ways to use body language is in maiden and maiden claiming races. Tracks offer between 3 and 4 of these races daily. Many handicappers will simply pass in these races because of limited information in the horse's past performances. Body language is extremely valuable in these kinds of races. Using body language, you can now wager on these races with confidence. Most of these young, inexperienced horses are just figuring out everything and learning how to adapt to their new environment. This is where you can find real value, as many of these horses are overlays. An overlay is a horse that is not being wagered on, yet his chances of winning are better than his odds suggest. This is an important enough subject that we should go a little deeper so the understanding is clear. Let's look at an example of an overlay. Say a horse is 8-1, but your handicapping of his body language tells you he should be 4-1. He is an overlay. You get a much higher value for your wager. Now back on the subject. Maiden races and eliminating favorites. Maidens will still display the positive or negative body language signs or signals that will tell you if they are ready to run today. Mismatches are frequent. More throwouts will result in less losses and more wins, just what the body language training course offers. Most of that information is available in the Daily Racing Forum and other sources. And this is where most players get their data to make their picks. In the racing program, the morning line is a set of numbers to the right of the horse's name, you see here outlined in red in the left. The morning line is the estimated odds that our official expert at the track thinks the odds will be on the horse in the race that day, on the right. The final odds are what you see here in the column under the word odds. The final odds are based on the amount of money actually bet on the horse. Experienced handicappers use the difference between the morning line and the final odds as one of the indicators of a horse's chance of winning or not. In our graphic, we don't know what the morning line was, but if the horse was bet down, meaning the folks wagered more than the expert estimated. When that happens, it is because the crowd thought the horse had a better chance of winning than did the expert with his morning line. I'm going to change horses here just for a moment, but there's a good reason for it, as you will see. I want you to think about Michael Phelps in relation to the odds of winning a race. Phelps won just about every race he swam in. If we were handicapping him, just like the vast majority of people handicapping horses, we would assume that it would be a very safe bet for him to win today's race, wouldn't we? But if we added the principles of racehorse body language, we might notice something was off about Michael. Maybe he was rubbing his shoulder or moving his arm around. Maybe he was coughing or sneezing. Maybe he was sore and didn't feel well. If that were the case, he would be showing signs that he's not 100%. Seeing those conditions, we would be less sure of our wager. Racehorse body language is just like that. A horse will show by his actions if he is or is not 100%. A more formalized description would be the art of picking the most likely winner of a race or eliminating the favorite in the race by observing the behaviors of the horse that are native to his being. A horse is an animal that, even though he's been domesticated, he still has natural instincts that rule his actions. These are as predictable as knowing it is not raining because there are no clouds in the sky, or the reverse, and estimating it will rain because the sky is filled with dark clouds. The first thing we need to do is to understand the purpose of the body language training course. We need to examine some of the intimate details of the facts behind the raw data. In our talk here, when we say the favorite, we are talking about the horse with the most money wagered on him at the race time. When we say your favorite, we mean the horse you feel will win. 35 out of every 100 races will be won by the favorite. That also means that 65% of the time, the favorites don't win. Finding one of those 65% or confirming your 35% is the true purpose of the body language training course. According to GameOfSkill.com, that percentage varies with track odds. It is a given that the crowd is usually very accurate in their judgment. As we discussed earlier, final odds are determined by the amount of money wagered on the particular horse. When enough is wagered on a horse to drop his odds of winning at or below 1-to-1, the horse is said to be an odds-on favorite. It is that point the chances of a horse's winning changes. As you will see from this chart, an odds-on favorite may win as much as 90% of the time. If there is a horse that passes all the indicators of racehorse body language with final odds of 5-to-1, running against a horse that has been bet down to 1-to-5, it probably would be a bad idea to wager on the higher odds horse, because the odds-on favorite at 1-to-5 will win 83% of the time. Any way you look at it, we want better odds of winning when we place our wager. Let's assume the horse we picked earlier, number 3, the one with the red box around it, is 8-to-5 or 3 minutes before post and showing signs of not being 100%. But number 1 passed all the racehorse body language rules, far above the favorite, and was at 6-to-1. The odds of winning with number 1 just became better for us. It just became a much higher value wager. Now let's look at body language. Let's start with the human form. Look at these faces. Because we have lived with these human reactions or actions all of our life, we determine how these people feel immediately. We can tell if they're happy, sad, angry, worried, or scared. Just imagine your advantage if you could tell your pick was happy, healthy, ready to run before the race. Using racehorse body language allows us to understand if any horse is happy, healthy, and ready to run. We can then use that knowledge to either confirm our handicap choice or to spot a horse that can beat him. When you apply these things you will learn in the Training Academy course, you will lose less and you'll win more often. That is the true purpose of the body language training course, to lose less and to win more. I want to tell you Chet's story about the Preakness. He was watching the 2016 Preakness on TV in his home. The 2016 Preakness was the race that made Chet to decide to build the training course. They showed the horses in the paddock and in the warm-up on the track. The favorite, number 3, was Nyquist. Nyquist was the horse that won the Kentucky Derby that year. In watching the post-parade and warm-up, Chet felt Nyquist did not display the positive body language characteristics that you would associate with a horse of that caliber. Nyquist's morning line was 3-to-5 and held up through the day. He was the odds-on favorite. And as we saw from the previous chart of win percentages, 67% chance of Nyquist winning that race. But using body language, Chet saw that number 5 Exaggerator had a better attitude, stride, head and neck positions. Exaggerator had a morning line of 3-to-1. It was eventually bet down to 5-to-2. And number 1, Cherry Wine, passed all the body language criteria and appeared more anxious to run. Cherry Wine was way off the charts at 20-to-1 morning line. This shows the winner and the second place horse. Number 5 Exaggerator won and paid $7.20. Cherry Wine came in second and paid $9.20. The $2 Exacta paid $88.20. These picks were only made because of the body language handicapping. In the training, we will look at each horse, its separate body parts, and have its own story to tell about the health and attitude of the horse. You will learn how to do this on race day, not to look at what he did 2 weeks ago or in his workouts the day before yesterday. We are looking at current information. Included in the course will be terminology like head and neck, body, legs, jockey, and outrider. You will see what makes winners and losers. For lack of a better term, we included extras, which are important facts written about the book, The Body Language of Horses by Tom Ainsley and Bonnie Ledbetter, and points not covered elsewhere. This is part of the video lesson in case studies. A webinar is not designed to serve streaming video, so these images may be a little jerky, especially if your connection is a little slow. But we put these in here so you can get a feel of what you'll be getting in the training. These case studies are in the training so you have a practical knowledge in using your newfound knowledge to build your confidence before you log into the TwinSpires, ExpressBet, or TVG for further practice. We are looking at the horse's head, eyes, ears, neck, mane, and tail. We're also looking at his gait, stride, and checking his muscles for overall condition, his coat, and attitude. We're also noting the actions of the jockey and the outrider. Watch each horse carefully. There is a second video that will show the completion of the race. In the training, you will be asked to read the horses yourself and pick the winner from a numbered list, which is in the same format as our testing. If you do not see the indicators on the first try, your testing will tell you. Then you can go back and watch warm up again until you see what we saw. No one will pick 100% winners, but these studies are races where we have successfully picked the winner. So you know body language indicators of the winner are there to be seen. Once you know how to spot the traits that identify the strengths and weaknesses of the horse racing today, we will teach you to practice without wagering till you're confident in your newly acquired skill set. In the next part of today's training, you will see each of the indicators we use to pick probable winners of any race. So, now let's get through just exactly what we're looking for when we view a horse. First, let's look at the horse's head. The movement of a horse's ears gives an indication of where the horse is focusing his attention, an indicator of his emotions. A horse can rotate his ears to cover about 280 degrees. If a horse is frightened, he will constantly move his ears around to hear around himself. Notice the ears here, one pointing well to the rear, the other pointing directly at the camera. If a horse is angry, he will lay his ears back. When running, he will often lay them back also as an indicator is concentrating on where he is going. A horse will generally keep his eyes looking forward, unless he is frightened, and then he will roll his eyes and you will see the whites of his eyes. Seeing the whites of his eyes is never a good racing signal, because if he is afraid prior to the race, he will exert a great amount of energy and may not have enough left to finish first. The horse's mouth becomes an important factor when man gets involved, primarily the bit or any other metal placed in his mouth. When he begins to be agitated, he will work his mouth, teeth, grinding on the bit, and working his tongue. He may even begin to foam at the mouth. He can be agitated even more by putting a lead through the mouth. Here you can see the garbage that has been put in the horse's mouth. The purpose of this is to keep the horse turning into the curve of the track instead of going straight. He is stressed out, grinding his teeth, working his tongue, foaming at the mouth. He is totally stressed out and burning energy. Not aware of any other thing than what is in his mouth is not a good sign if he's going to win. The neck of a horse is a primary indicator of his attitude and health. In this post-parade picture, notice how the neck is up and arched and his chin is tucked. This is a very positive indicator. When the horse is excited and ready to race, the mane stands up as you see here. Now let's look at the body of a horse. Like a human, if the horse is overweight, he will not run well. Spot a fat horse by looking at his hind quarter. He loses definition between his body and his hip. And no, this is not a racehorse, but rather an extreme example of a fat horse. Just as bad as being too thin. He will not have the energy to run well. Here's a good example of a horse that is too thin. Notice the area between the body and the hip where there appears to be an indentation. That is called being tucked up. Here's what it looks like in the post-parade. A horse sweats when he's either overheated or very anxious. Horses do not normally run except to play or to escape when they're in danger. Under human direction, they exhaust and overheat themselves by running faster and farther than normal. It is interesting to note you seldom see horses sweating from racing. You most often see it when they're stressed. Sweat appears, as you see here, as the white foam, and is also on his hindquarters where anything touches his body. The only sweat that's not a negative is called kidney sweat. It occurs where his hind legs rub together and will appear if the horse is excited. Kidney sweat should not be considered bad unless accompanied by sweat on other parts of the body. A racehorse is an athlete, and of course muscles are important. Once you are trained as to what to look for, you will see muscling is one of the most important factors of racehorse body language. What you are looking for is called racing dimple. You can see it clearly in this picture. It is the line that runs from the mid-leg all the way up to the base of the tail. In a maiden race, the horse with the most defined racing dimple may have an advantage if all their factors are equal. Of course, well-defined chest muscles are very important. A horse's coat is a true indicator of horse's health. A healthy horse will shine, even on a cloudy, overcast day. He will sparkle. He will also be dappled. As you see here, dappling is the light spots that appear in the hide of the horse. They're actually in the horse's hide. These will only be seen if the horse is in very, very top condition. The tail is an indicator of a broad range of emotions in a horse. In a mood of excitement, the horse will carry his tail away from the body, as you see here. A very important behavior of the horse is the tail popping. It is the movement of the racehorse's tail on a quick upward motion. You have seen this horse sweating. You have probably seen tail popping before and did not know what it is all about. It is done when the horse is very agitated or angry. It is a very negative sign. Here also is stop motion, so you can see exactly what the movement looks like. Now let's look at how the horse moves his legs and feet. Gait is the way the horse expresses his feelings when he walks. In this picture, you will see him pounding his feet to the point of kicking up dirt. And in this picture, you will see another horse just dragging his feet. Neither of these are good signs. If the track is wet, you may see a horse walking like this, waddling. It's called the ickies. The horse feels the ground is not solid and thinks he may fall down. He is placing each hoof as solidly as he can using a wide stance. Stride is the way the horse moves his feet while walking or running. Stride has nothing to do with emotions or health. It deals with the natural abilities of the horse. In this picture, we see a horse that moves his entire leg too far back in each step he takes. In a good stride, the foreleg would be more vertical and the hoof would be where the arrow is pointing. What you see here is inefficient movement. In this video, you will see a very positive indicator called clearing. It is where the stride of the horse is long. It is when the back hoof is placed forward of where the forefoot was placed when he is walking. The last horse's step covers a good 8 to 12 inches. The actions of the jockey and the outrider are a good indication of the horse's attitude, both good and bad. In this video, you will see a jockey has no rein on the horse at all. The outrider might as not well even be there. I want you to notice the gait of the horse, the mane, the neck, and the tail of the horse, and the outrider. The gait is litless, the mane is down, not standing up, the neck is not arched, and the tail is down. The outrider is not even holding the horse's lead. This horse is not going anywhere. Now, this is a picture of an outrider that needs to keep the horse under control, and the horse does not like it. This horse wants to run and is being held back. Now, let's talk about winners and losers. There are 4 types of horses that win 90% of their races. Let me introduce you to them, and then we will talk about the horses that lose their races. First, the sharp horse. Seldom seen, but when they do appear, it really pays to pay attention. The fit and ready horse. He is showing signs of good health and eagerness to race. The ready horse is cool, calm, and ready to race. The dull horse is not showing any indicators of being outstanding. In the Q&A, I'm usually asked how a dull horse can win. It is simple. He will win in a race where all of the horses are dull, but he is the best. This is the kind of race where you will have a giant advantage over everyone else wagering on the race. There are 5 types of horses that lose races. When a frightened horse reaches the starting gate, he is only ready to hide away from the other horses. By the time an angry horse comes out of the gate, he has expended so much energy, he has nothing left to win. The way a horse feels when overheated is the same as you. All he wants to do is go to sleep. When a horse is cold, he just wants to stand and shiver. But watch this one in warm-up. Once he starts moving, he may come to life. But then again, maybe not. Just like you, if he's hurting or sick, he will not perform well. Think of Michael Phelps with a sore shoulder. So that is the horses and some of what you need to look for. Now back in the day it was different since you had to go to the track to wager. In honesty, today about 20% of all wagers are still placed at the track. And those people that go to the track who understand racehorse body language experience an easier evaluation. That is because the viewing on the horses up close in the paddock and better viewing in the warm-up. Those that don't go to the track, and that's 80% of players today, have an entirely new set of challenges. Those players wager from home videos, video from a paddock and warm-up, video from sources like Twin Spires, ExpressBet, or TVG. Once you understand racehorse body language, visit all of those resources and choose the one that works best for you. You can also go to satellite facilities like the room at Del Mar. The challenge is the same from home or the satellite locations. It is hard to do proper racehorse body language looking at a monitor. That's where the Body Language Training Academy comes into play. Our complete training is monitor focused. That means simply we are not training you only to evaluate horses from the racetrack, but also training you to do racehorse body language from the comfort of your own home or satellite location. You will use it to confirm your choice or to eliminate the favorite and spot his competition. When you learn how to do that, you will lose less. Those reduced losses can total some pretty big numbers by the end of the year. But the other half of the equation is that you will win. You may be very good at handicapping, but adding racehorse body language, you will raise your averages. But if you don't practice, your results will be less. It is up to you and your individual skills. But our testing has shown you can do better. It goes without saying we cannot guarantee any kind of results. I want to introduce you to Ari Othaitis. Ari is a serious gambler whose Twitter handle is @HeavyGambler. We chose Ari to evaluate our training program because he was serious and we knew that he would learn and use the material. Just so you know, we did not pay Ari, and he's not on an owner, he's not on the management team. His only compensation was the training program to him at no cost. On November 26th, he tweeted out, "I just won $104.90 on race 7 at Tampa Bay." I want you to hear the edited version of the telephone interview Chet had with Ari. If you want to listen to the entire interview and watch the videos that were in the webinar, just go to the web address shown on the screen. So here's Ari.
Harry, from a financial standpoint, for the serious or the amateur player, what kind of an impact can this course have on them?
Well, I think if I was to look at it for playing for a whole year, let's take a basic handicapper, who might make 20 plays a week, let's say $100 a play. This typical handicapper might have a hit rate of 35% at an average mutual of $7. So for a year, you might spend $100,000 and expect to get back about $122,000. But by adding physicality with the results that I had in the test period, one could spend the same amount of money, 100,000, but perhaps get back 195,000. That is a big swing with just adding a few small tools to your game.
Think about that. Favorites, the horse with the most money wagered on him, win 35% of the time and usually pay in the neighborhood of 520 or less. Using racehorse body language, Ari's win rate increased and the average payout doubled. And finishing in the money 73% of the time, that is phenomenal. That number should at least raise the eyebrows of any exotic wagering player. And remember Chet's experience with the Preakness. He picked the first and second horse from a TV set. We just received this email from Ari. We included this here for those of you who wager outside the U.S. to remind you that body language works anywhere horses are racing. And here is another email we recently received from Ari Altaitis. As you can read, even though he had handicapped the number 7 in the race, he noticed that the number 1 had all the body language positives you can look for in a sharp horse. As a result, he canceled the original wager and bet on number 1 instead. And as you can see the result, it paid $34. This is just another example of how you can use body language to select the winner of the race and get a great value for your wagering dollar. As you see here, the number 7 horse was the odds-on favorite at 3 to 5, and the number 1 was at 16 to 1. As Ari says, without the knowledge concerning body language, he never would have made this win bet. He would have had another loss. By the way, this $34 winner was the 4th race at Emerald Downs on Sunday the 21st of May, 2017. And that is the true purpose of the body language training course. To lose less, to win more, which, through our testing, has proven it's reached its stated purpose. Okay, it's time to review what you've learned. First, do you want to win more and lose less? I'm sure that's a resounding yes. So let's review what we have covered in the webinar. This is the final puzzle piece you've been looking for, the handicapping tool that is used by less than 5% of the successful handicappers today. Master the information in this educational video training course, you will own the competitive advantage. Once you own it, you are well on your way to more successful and profitable handicapping. A few of the features included in the training are understanding what a sharp horse really is. What is a fit and ready horse? How to identify a lethargic horse. Spotting the dull, nervous, or frightened horse. Understanding what each body part of the race horse tells you. How to evaluate the paddock, the post-parade, pre-race warm-ups. What being a dappled horse means. Positive signs to look for. How to recognize the non-winning signs. Use your newfound knowledge to defeat false favorites and put you way ahead of the traditional handicapper. In every lesson, you will be given a special video section for monitor focus training, which will include the stop action and slow-mo for instant understanding of the material, as well as the actual races where body language has been successful in choosing the winner and showing the process in making that decision. This training has been locked away in the Lawler family vaults for 20 years, but is now updated to include off-track processes and is now available for you to own and use. Things included in the course: there are a total of 14 training videos and 8 lessons. The first lesson will describe the 9 classifications of a racehorse and show the important parts of the horse's body that are communicating with you. Then you'll be taught the specific signals the horse is giving you. The lessons describe the classifications and the specific signals that put him in that class. Identifying the class will determine the probability of the horse winning his race or eliminate him. Lesson 7 will give practice videos that will allow you to hone your skills before you put them to practice. Lesson 8 gives you the guidance on how to go forward using your newfound skill. 20% fewer losing wagers is what you can expect. If you hone your skills, it can be more. And you will win more. Ari had a win rate of 35% and an average payout of $10. Now take those numbers and multiply them out for a year. That is the value of this training for you. Keep that in mind as we look at these next slides. Let's put everything into proper perspective. Because of your host sponsorship here today, we have generated a package that has some bonuses that build even more value than just your added winning and your savings from losing less. So let's look at this package. First, of course, you will get the entire training, which sells on our website for $397. You will also get both the original tapes in digital form that are worth $99 each. Thousands were sold at $50 each 30 years ago. We are including, just for this webinar, free telephone support for 14 days. This is a hard one to put a value on because it is an intangible that could be worth many times the $200 stated value. If it clarifies just one thing that makes you a better body language handicapper, just one thing that gives you a higher than average save and win rate. It is also there because we want you to be successful. This is only included for those that sign up today and is not available to those who sign up for the replay of the webinar. So that gives you the total value of our package we're offering at $795. Of course, when you add in the amount of money you will save from winning more and losing less, the value is greatly increased. Now here's today's offer. The regular price for the course as stated on the website is $397. Because of the special relationship with our host today, you will get a substantial discount. Today on this webinar, you will actually save half. The price today is just $197. Training and bonuses worth just short of $800 for only $197. Now let's be upfront here. This is a great deal for anyone that plays. You heard directly from Ari. Ari is a good handicapper, but by adding body language, he became a great handicapper. Guys, this is not hard to learn, but if you're halfway into handicapping, you just cannot pass up this deal. Do it today. And remember that the personal one-on-one phone call is only available for those that order today.
Rory, let me interrupt here for just a moment, okay? I want to personally thank everybody who gave up their time today to take this training. I also need to tell you how you can take advantage of your free offers. What you see here is the complete Google shortcode. You saw this in the beginning of the webinar, but here we have the last digit showing for you. This is much easier to type than the URL. This is where you will let us know you want to be in our drawing to get the extended training at no cost to you, and get the information you need to sit in with Ari, our professional body language handicapper, whose body language handicapping has produced an average of 77% of his picks in the money, and that produced in excess of 64% return on investment across almost 1,000 wagers. And you will get his ratings of every horse in every race at Del Mar on Sunday the 26th. Here's a recent example of Ari's ranking. In Del Mar's 5th race on Saturday the 18th, a maiden race by the way, horse number 5, Diversionist. That horse was rated as an A by Ari. It won and paid $84.80. So here's what you do now. First, write down the short code. At the end of the webinar, click the running horse to get the expanded training. Once your order is confirmed, open a browser, type the short code in the browser address bar. Now this is not a Google search bar, it's the address bar. You will be taken to the thank you page. Watch the short video there and follow the directions. So on that note, thanks again to each and every one of you that are here today. I want every one of you to share Ari's picks, so use the short code. Remember, you will also have a chance to get the expanded training absolutely free. We will notify the winner of that scholarship about a week after the replays are complete. Again, I want to thank you. Now back to you, Rory.
Now it's question time. Greg is reading the questions. He may answer some of you directly, but remember, Chet plans on answering them directly to you in an email after we get the replay up. We want to congratulate those that have signed on to take the course. You won't regret it. To place your order now, just click the picture of the running horse below. We will give you another 2 minutes, then the webinar will go down. To those that have signed on, thank you. And thanks to our host today. We had fun. We hope you learned something. We also had fun. Thanks again, and Chet wants you to know he is looking forward to talking to you all on those one-on-one phone calls. Goodbye for now.